A billionaire is searching for a person with your exact name. Let that settle into your spirit for a moment. Not someone similar. Not someone almost like you. Your exact name. And according to Archangel Michael, this is not a rumor, not imagination, not coincidence. God himself gave them your social media profile in a vision. Open now. That urgency you feel as you hear these words is not random. It is the echo of heaven pressing on your spirit. Because messages like this do not chase people by accident. They arrive by assignment. There are moments in life when destiny does not whisper. It knocks. Strongly. Repeatedly. This is one of those moments. Somewhere, in a place of influence and unimaginable resources, a person with extraordinary wealth was interrupted. Interrupted not by business, not by strategy, not by human planning, but by a divine encounter. In the stillness of a night that seemed ordinary, heaven broke through. A vision unfolded. And in that vision, among all the faces in the world, among billions of names across nations and continents, your exact name appeared with clarity. Your social media profile was shown. Specific, identifiable, unmistakable. Why would God reveal a profile? Why would heaven use something so modern, so digital, so everyday? Because God speaks in ways that remove doubt. He does not deal in vague impressions when destiny is involved. He confirms with precision. And precision is what makes this urgent. The instruction was clear. Find this person. Search for this name. Here's an assignment attached. You might be thinking, why me? That question is natural. But understand something deeper. Heaven does not operate by randomness. There are divine orchestrations happening behind the scenes of your life that you have not been allowed to see. Doors that closed were not rejections. They were redirections. Delays are not denials. They were timing adjustments. And now, something has shifted. The phrase "open now" is not just about clicking a video. It is a spiritual command. Open your awareness. Open your expectation. Open your discernment. Because when God begins to align resources with purpose, He does it with intention. This is not about fame. It is not about popularity. It is not about vanity metrics or followers. This is about assignment. There is something tied to your identity that heaven has marked. Archangel Michael's presence in this message is not symbolic. It signals protection, warfare, and divine order. When Michael appears in prophetic moments, it often means something significant is being guarded. There are forces that attempt to interfere when destiny accelerates. There are distractions that try to cloud clarity. That is why this message carries urgency, not fear. Urgency. Some of you have felt a strange stirring lately. A sense that something is about to change. Unexplained anticipation. Vivid dreams. A heightened awareness when you scroll through your own profile. You may have even felt prompted to clean up certain posts, to refine your presence, to be more intentional about what you share. You thought it was random motivation. It was preparation. Because if someone with extraordinary influence was shown your profile in a vision, that means heaven trusted that what was seen represented something real. It means your life is not as unnoticed as you may have believed. While you were living quietly, while you were navigating challenges, while you were questioning your impact, heaven was positioning your name in rooms you have never entered physically. Do not dismiss this as fantasy. Throughout history, divine connections have been initiated through dreams and visions. People of power have been redirected overnight because God intervened. The pattern is ancient, even if the platform is modern. The tools may evolve, but the author of destiny does not change. Right now, what matters is your posture. Are you open? Or will you shrink back because it feels too big? Sometimes the greatest obstacle to breakthrough is disbelief. We disqualify ourselves before opportunity ever reaches us. But this message is confronting that mindset. It is challenging the small box you may have placed around your future. A billionaire is searching for a person with your exact name. And heaven says they saw your social media profile in a vision. That means you are visible in realms you cannot measure. It means your story has weight. It means there is a convergence forming between influence and purpose. This is why it is important. Because when resources meet divine assignment, lives change. Not just yours. Others, communities, generations. And if you ignore moments like this, you risk delaying something that was meant to unfold in a specific season. You are not hearing this by mistake. The timing of this message is precise. The urgency is intentional. Heaven does not waste announcements. When it speaks, it signals movement. So take a breath. Steady your heart. This is only the beginning of what is being revealed. What you are about to understand next will explain why your name, out of all names, carried such weight in that vision, and the deeper spiritual reason this search is unfolding right now. The night it happened did not begin with expectation. There was no spiritual conference, no dramatic prayer gathering, no public declaration that something supernatural was about to unfold. It was an ordinary evening in an extraordinary life. A billionaire, someone accustomed to control, strategy, and calculated decisions, closed their eyes expecting rest. Their world revolves around negotiations, investments, expansions, and influence. Billions are not part of their routine. Yet heaven does not require routine to interrupt destiny. In the deep hours of that night, something shifted. The atmosphere changed. What began as sleep became encounter. It was not chaotic. It was not confusing. It was precise, clear, intentional. In the vision, a screen appeared, not symbolic clouds, not abstract images, but something strikingly familiar. A social media interface, a profile page, and at the top of that page was a name. Your exact name. Understand how specific this is. Out of billions of accounts across platforms, your profile was shown with clarity. The spelling was unmistakable. The image attached to the account was visible. Certain posts were highlighted, almost as if heaven was scrolling deliberately. The billionaire could see details, your expression, your words, your tone. It was not a blur. It was not a guess. It was targeted revelation. At first, confusion set in. Why would God show a social media profile? Why not a traditional sign? Why not a face-to-face introduction? But that question dissolved quickly when the weight of the moment settled in. Because what made it undeniable was the repetition. The name appeared once, and again, and the profile image seemed to glow with focus. There was an internal knowing. This is not random. This is instruction. The billionaire woke abruptly. The room was silent, yet their heart was racing. They tried to dismiss it as imagination. After all, people in positions of wealth are trained to rely on logic. But the clarity of what they saw would not fade. They reached for their phone almost instinctively, searching the exact name that had been revealed. And there you were. Now pause and think about this. What are the odds that someone with such influence would be given your specific name in a vision? What are the odds that your profile would match what was shown? This is not coincidence. This is alignment. Heaven does not gamble with details. They began to scroll, comparing what they saw in the vision with what appeared on the screen in real life. The same photo, the same arrangement, the same energy. And in that moment, something shifted inside though. This was confirmation. But here is what makes this even more powerful. This was not about admiration. It was not about entertainment. It was an impression attached to the vision, a sense of assignment. And they looked at your posts, your expressions, your presence. There was an understanding forming. This person carries something. There is purpose here. There is authenticity. There is preparation. Sometimes we underestimate the digital spaces we inhabit. We treat them casually. We post without realizing that heaven can use even these platforms as instruments of destiny. The world may see algorithms. God sees access points. The world sees timelines. God sees timing. And as this billionaire continued to reflect on the vision, one thought kept returning. I need to find this person. Not tomorrow. Not eventually. Now. There was urgency pressing against hesitation. It felt unusual. It felt beyond personal ambition. It felt directed. This is why your awareness matters in this moment. Because when heaven initiates something, it often moves on both ends simultaneously. While they were shown your profile in a vision, you may have been feeling restlessness. While they were waking up in the middle of the night, you may have sensed that something unseen was shifting in your favor. And this is where I need you to lean in. If this message is stirring something in your spirit, do not stay silent. Like this video as a sign of agreement. Comment your name below as a prophetic act of alignment. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss what heaven is unfolding next. Share this word with someone who needs to understand that divine connections are real. Your engagement is not about algorithms. It is about activating agreement with what God is doing. Because when you publicly align with a word, you strengthen your faith to receive it. Silence can sometimes reflect doubt, but agreement releases expectation. Back in that quiet room, the billionaire could not shake the sense that this encounter was strategic. This was not about impulse. It was about instruction. They began making quiet inquiries, searching, verifying, looking for ways to confirm identity without drawing attention. This was not reckless excitement. It was careful pursuit. What you must understand is that when God orchestrates a connection, He prepares both sides. He speaks in ways that remove excuses. He confirms in layers. And what began as a mysterious night vision is now becoming a deliberate search. Heaven revealed your profile for a reason. And the fact that you are hearing this now suggests that the search is not theoretical. It is active. The next question is not whether the vision was real. The evidence is too precise. The real question is, why your name? Why did heaven highlight you among billions? That answer reaches deeper than you think. Why your name? Out of billions of identities, countless profiles, and endless possibilities, why did heaven allow your exact name to be shown in that vision? This question is not small. It reaches into the very core of who you are. Because in the spiritual realm, names are never random labels. They are declarations. They are assignments. They carry weight. Throughout history, when God moved in powerful ways, He called people by name, not by title, not by reputation, by name. A name represents identity, authority, and purpose woven together. When your name was revealed in that vision, it was not simply a digital tag being highlighted. It was your spiritual fingerprint being recognized. Your name carries history. It carries prayers spoken over you, even if you were too young to remember them. It carries moments of struggle that shape your character. It carries hidden tears, private victories, silent endurance. Heaven sees all of that. So when a billionaire saw your profile in a vision, what they were truly seeing was not just a page, it was the story attached to your name. There's something about identity that unlocks destiny. Many people try to imitate others, thinking influence comes from copying what is popular. But heaven does not bless imitation. It blesses authenticity. And your name represents something no one else can replicate. Even if someone shares your name somewhere in the world, they do not carry your calling. They do not carry your assignment. This is why the vision was specific. It was not someone like you. It was you. The spelling mattered. The image mattered. The details mattered. God does not deal in approximations when He is orchestrating purpose. He deals in precision. Perhaps you have underestimated your own name. Maybe you have spoken it with doubt. Maybe you have questioned your value, thinking you are just another account in a sea of content. But heaven does not measure you by numbers. It measures you by calling. There is a spiritual law at work here. When God prepares to elevate someone, He often reveals their identity before He reveals the full assignment. Why? Because identity anchors you. If you do not understand who you are, the weight of opportunity can crush you. The revelation of your name in that vision is heaven affirming your identity before unveiling the next step. Some of you have experienced seasons where your name felt overlooked. You were not chosen, not noticed, not prioritized. Doors seemed to open for others while you stood waiting. But what if those seasons were not rejection? What if they were refinement? What if heaven was building depth in you so that when your name surfaced in a room of influence, you would be ready? There is also a deeper layer. Names in the spiritual realm carry authority. When your name was spoken or shown in that vision, it signaled recognition. It signaled that you are not invisible. You are known. Fully known. Even the parts you tried to hide. And here is what makes this powerful. This is not about ego. It is not about self-exaltation. It is about alignment. When heaven aligns resources with a name, it is because that name is connected to purpose beyond itself. This is bigger than personal gain. This is about impact. Right now, something may be stirring in your spirit. A mixture of awe and disbelief. That is normal. Destiny often feels too large at first. But let me tell you something clearly. If your name was shown in a divine vision, it means heaven trusts you with what is coming. There are people who crave visibility but are not prepared for responsibility. Your journey has prepared you. The struggles were training. The silence was strengthening. The waiting was building endurance. And now your name has entered a new atmosphere. But hold on, because what comes next will reveal an even deeper layer of why this moment is unfolding now. You will see how your past, your presence, and your future are converging in ways you could not have planned. Before we move forward, there is something prophetic you must do. Type "My name is called" in the comments if this resonates with you. Lesson code 314 is now activated over your identity and your destiny. When you declare that, you are not chasing hype. You are agreeing with heaven's recognition. You are standing in your identity instead of shrinking from it. And as you do, remember this: your name was not revealed to intimidate you. It was revealed to position you. What you are about to understand next will make the search for you even more undeniable. You'll be glad you stayed for what's about to be revealed. This message you are receiving is not just information. It is a seed. When you sow into fertile ground, harvest follows. If this word is igniting faith inside you, this is your moment to act. When you give through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not supporting a channel. You are fueling a river that carries God's voice to thousands who are waiting in silence. The Lord declares, as you sow beside the waters, your seed will not return empty. I feel led to say this plainly. I am inviting you to become part of this divine movement now. Do not miss the obedience window attached to this word. As you give, may oil of favor flow over your name, and may doors respond to you with unusual speed. Step into this prophetic act and release your seed today. When the vision ended and morning light filled the room, the weight of what had happened did not disappear. In fact, it intensified. What seemed vivid in the night now faced the scrutiny of daylight logic. The billionaire sat in silence, replaying every detail. A name. Your name. The profile. The unmistakable clarity. Part of them wanted to dismiss it as a dream shaped by stress or imagination. After all, their world is built on analysis, not visions. But this was different. There was a residue in the atmosphere, a heaviness that did not feel negative, just significant. It lingered. It pressed gently but persistently against reason. They tried to move forward with their normal routine. Meetings were scheduled. Calls were made. Financial reports were reviewed. Yet in the middle of conversations about investments and expansion, your name would surface in their mind without warning. It became impossible to ignore. The more they tried to rationalize it, the stronger the conviction grew. This was not random. This was not a passing image. It carried instruction. But here is where the inner struggle began. Acting on a divine vision requires humility. It requires admitting that not everything can be explained by logic alone. For someone accustomed to commanding rooms, making strategic decisions, and leading powerful conversations, this was unfamiliar territory. To search for someone because of a vision. To pursue a connection based on something supernatural. The challenge is pride. The challenge is control. And yet, heaven does not consult pride when it moves. It consults purpose. Throughout that day, subtle confirmations began to appear. Not dramatic signs in the sky. Not thunder or spectacle. Just quiet nudges. A conversation about legacy. A passing comment about impact beyond wealth. A phrase spoken by someone else that echoed the impression from the vision. There's more you're meant to do. The billionaire felt it. Wealth alone was no longer satisfying. Expansion alone was not enough. There was a stirring for something meaningful, something that would outlive numbers and headlines. And every time that thought surfaced, so did your name. That is how confirmation often works. It does not shout. It aligns. It reinforces. It repeats gently until clarity replaces doubt. Late that evening, they return to your profile. This time not in confusion, but in contemplation. They look deeper. They read captions carefully. They studied patterns. They noticed consistency in your voice, authenticity in your expressions, resilience between the lines. There was substance there, and something unexpected happened. Instead of feeling superior or distant, they felt drawn. Not drawn by admiration alone, but by recognition. It was as if your journey carried pieces of their own early story. Before wealth, before recognition, before influence hardened into routine. They saw hunger. They saw growth. They saw potential. But still, the inner debate continued. What if this is a distraction? What if I am overthinking this? What if acting on this makes no sense? This is the moment where many divine assignments are abandoned. Not because they are unclear, but because they require courage. Acting on a vision means stepping outside of normal frameworks. It means risking misunderstanding. It means trusting that God speaks in unexpected ways. The struggle intensified overnight. Sleep became restless. The vision replayed again, not as vividly, but enough to remind them it was real. Your name felt almost engraved in their thoughts. They began to pray in a way they had not prayed in years. Not polished prayers, not rehearsed words. Simple, honest questions. If this is you, confirm it again. And confirmation came. A second dream. Yodu. Quieter, but unmistakable. The same profile image. The same name. And one impression attached to it. Do not delay. That with the turning point. When heaven repeats itself, it removes excuses. The next morning, hesitation began to dissolve. Instead of debating whether to act, they began planning how to act wisely. Discretion mattered. Integrity mattered. This was not about reckless outreach. It was about strategic approach. Quiet research continued. Layers of verification were put in place. Not out of suspicion, but out of seriousness. Because if God truly orchestrated this, it deserved careful handling. You must understand something profound here. When destiny accelerates, it rarely looks dramatic at first. It looks like internal wrestling. It looks like silent decision-making. It looks like someone somewhere choosing obedience over comfort. While you were going about your life, unaware of this struggle, a decision was forming in a room you have never entered. A decision that could intersect with your future. Heaven does not reveal names lightly. And when confirmation follows revelation, it signals movement. The billionaire's resistance is weakening. Conviction is strengthening. And what began as confusion is now becoming clarity. But there is still something you need to understand. Why would wealth seek you out? Why would influence bend toward your name? The answer reaches into divine patterns that have repeated throughout history. Patterns of transfer, alignment, and purpose. And what you are about to discover next will explain why this connection is not about chance, but about design. There is a pattern that repeats itself quietly throughout history, a pattern that only becomes visible when you look beyond surface events and into the spiritual architecture behind them. It is the pattern of divine transfer, when resources shift, when influence changes hands, when wealth moves not randomly but strategically. And what you are witnessing right now is not simply a wealthy individual searching for a name. It is the early movement of a transfer that has purpose written all over it. Wealth by itself is neutral. It magnifies whatever it touches. In the hands of confusion, it amplifies chaos. In the hands of ego, it amplifies pride. But in the hands of purpose, it becomes a tool for transformation. That is why heaven is careful about where it directs resources. It does not release increase into emptiness. It aligns it with assignment. The billionaire who saw your profile in that vision is not just sitting on money. They are sitting on access. Access to rooms you have never stepped into. Access to networks that shift the industries. Access to opportunities that bypass years of struggle. But here is the deeper truth. Access without alignment is dangerous. That is why the vision came first. God does not send wealth blindly. He positions it. He prepares both sides. He refines character before releasing capacity. And your life, whether you realized it or not, has been undergoing refinement. Think back over your journey. The setbacks that forced you to grow. The disappointments that humbled you. The seasons when you had to build quietly without applause. Those were not wasted chapters. They were preparation stages. Because when wealth meets immaturity, it destroys. But when wealth meets preparation, it multiplies impact. This is not about sudden luxury. It is about leverage. It is about what can be accomplished when provision meets vision. There is a reason heaven revealed your social media profile specifically. Your profile is a window into your voice, your values, your consistency. It shows patterns, and patterns reveal discipline. Discipline reveals readiness. The billionaire did not just see potential, they saw alignment. And here is something you must understand deeply. Divine transfer does not always look like money being dropped into your account overnight. Sometimes it begins as connection, as mentorship, as collaboration, as doors opening that once seemed sealed. The transfer is not always loud, but it is powerful. Right now, there is a shift happening in the spiritual realm. Influence is being reassigned. Opportunities are being redirected. The world may call it coincidence when certain names begin to rise, but heaven calls it orchestration. When God decides to move resources, He does it with intention. He studies hearts. He examines motives. He weighs readiness. And when He finds someone whose character can sustain the weight of increase, He begins to align circumstances. You may not feel ready. You may still see your flaws. But readiness in heaven's eyes is not perfection. It is obedience. It is humility. It is willingness. The billionaire's internal struggle was not just about whether the vision was real. It was about whether they were willing to participate in something bigger than personal ambition. Because divine transfer often requires the wealthy to become stewards rather than owners. It requires them to see their resources as instruments rather than trophies. And that is where your name enters the equation. If your identity carries purpose, and their resources carry capacity, then alignment becomes inevitable. Not because of luck, but because of design. There is also a timing element here. Transfers happen in seasons. There are windows when heaven accelerates what once moved slowly. The fact that this vision happened now is not accidental. It signals that a season has shifted. What felt delayed may begin to move quickly. What felt blocked may subtly open. But here is the key. Preparation must continue. Do not assume that because a search has begun, your responsibility has ended. In fact, it has intensified. Refine your vision. Clarify your goals. Strengthen your integrity. Because when wealth meets purpose, it exposes both strengths and weaknesses. The transfer that is forming is not for self-indulgence. It is for expansion of impact. It is for influence that reaches beyond you. That is why heaven is involved. There is something sacred about this alignment. It is not transactional. It is prophetic. And while the billionaire moves quietly, making strategic inquiries, heaven is simultaneously working on you, adjusting your mindset, expanding your capacity, stretching your faith. Because when the moment of connection becomes visible, you must be steady, not overwhelmed, not intimidated, steady. This is not just about someone finding you. It is about something finding its rightful place through you. The divine transfer has begun in motion, even if you cannot see its full shape yet. And what you are about to understand next will explain why this timing is critical, why this is happening now, and why delay is no longer part of the plan. Timing is one of the greatest mysteries in the spiritual realm. Many people believe destiny is only about who you are or what you carry. But destiny is also about when. There are seasons when heaven seems silent, when prayers feel suspended in midair, when progress moves slowly and nothing extraordinary appears to be happening. Then suddenly, without warning, acceleration begins. What took years to build starts shifting in weeks. What felt locked begins to open. And you look back wondering why it did not happen sooner. This is happening now because the season has changed. For a long time, you may have been in a hidden phase, a preparation phase, a refining phase. In that season, visibility was limited. Opportunities were smaller. Progress required patience. It may have felt like delay, but it was actually development. Heaven does not rush what requires depth. Character takes time to build. Perspective takes time to mature. Discipline takes time to solidify. If this connection had been initiated years ago, would you have been ready? Would your mindset have been stable enough? Would your motives have been pure enough? Would your vision have been clear enough to handle the weight of influence attached to wealth? Sometimes what feels like postponement is protection. There were things you had to learn first, boundaries you had to establish, habits you had to break, confidence you had to develop without applause. You had to grow in private so that when public alignment happened, you would not collapse under pressure. The billionaire also had to reach a certain point. Wealth changes people. Influence reshapes priorities. In earlier seasons of their life, ambition may have been the driving force. Expansion, competition, growth charts, these were the focus. But over time, success alone began to feel incomplete. There is a moment many influential individuals reach when accumulation stops satisfying the deeper hunger inside. They begin asking questions about legacy, about meaning, about impact beyond profit. That internal shift is not accidental. It is divine timing. The vision did not come when they were distracted by early ambition. It came when their heart was open to something more. It came when they were ready to see resources as tools for purpose rather than symbols of achievement. And at the same time, your life reached a certain level of alignment. You have likely noticed changes in yourself recently. Increased clarity, stronger discernment, a deeper sense of identity, perhaps even a subtle boldness that was not there before. These are not random developments. They are indicators that you have matured into a new season. Heaven waits for alignment on both sides. When purpose and provision are both ready, timing activates. That is what you are witnessing now. A convergence. Two journeys developing separately for years, now approaching intersection. There is also a spiritual climate shift happening around you. You may have sensed it as restlessness, or anticipation, or a feeling that something is about to move. Doors that were once unresponsive may have started showing signs of life. Conversations may be shifting. Ideas may be forming more clearly. These are signals that the atmosphere has changed. Timing is not about convenience. It is about readiness. If this had happened earlier, you might have misinterpreted it. You might have attached it to ego rather than assignment. Or fear might have caused you to withdraw. But now, there is a steadiness growing in you. A recognition that your life carries responsibility beyond personal comfort. There is another reason this is happening now. Urgency. The world is shifting rapidly. Influence moves quickly. Platforms rise and fall. Opportunities appear and disappear. When heaven initiates something in a season of acceleration, it is because delay would mean missed impact. There are lives connected to your obedience that cannot afford postponement. This connection forming is not just about your story. It is about the ripple effect attached to your story. A billionaire's resources are positioned. Your purpose is prepared. The environment is ready. Now is the intersection point. And when divine timing activates, things can move swiftly. What once required years of effort may condense into moments of favor. What seemed unreachable may become accessible. But this speed is not chaotic. It is calculated by heaven. You must resist the temptation to overanalyze or self-sabotage. When timing aligns, hesitation can create unnecessary delay. Stay grounded. Stay prayerful. Stay prepared. But do not shrink back. This is happening now because the season of hiding is closing. The season of alignment is opening. And yet, there is something crucial you must understand before this unfolds further. Even when divine timing activates, there are forces that attempt to interfere. Not everything that approaches you will be from God. Not every opportunity will be pure. Discernment becomes essential in moments of acceleration. What you are about to uncover next will help you guard this moment carefully, because when destiny draws near, distractions often intensify. Before a door of influence opens, before wealth aligns with purpose, before your name is spoken in rooms you have never entered, there is always a hidden preparation season. Most people misunderstand this season. They call it stagnation. They call it obscurity. They call it being overlooked. But heaven calls it training. You did not arrive at this moment suddenly. You were shaped for it. Think about the battles you fought that no one applauded. The nights you questioned yourself. The mornings you had to motivate yourself without encouragement. The times when your efforts seemed invisible. Those were not meaningless struggles. You were weight training for your spirit. Influence requires strength. Resources require maturity. Opportunity requires stability. There were lessons you learned through disappointment that success alone could never teach you. Rejection built resilience. Delay built patience. Silence built self-awareness. Every time a door closed unexpectedly, you were forced to look inward instead of outward. You were forced to refine your motives. Were you pursuing recognition, or were you pursuing purpose? Hidden seasons reveal the answer. You may have felt forgotten at times, watching others move ahead while you remained in place, seeing names rise while yours stayed quiet. But what you could not see was that elevation without preparation becomes exposure, and exposure without depth leads to collapse. Heaven refused to let that happen to you. There were character flaws that had to be softened, impulses that had to be disciplined, insecurities that had to be confronted. If sudden wealth or powerful connections had entered your life too early, they might have magnified weaknesses instead of strengths. So you were given time. Time to grow. Time to mature. Time to build internal foundations. Even your presence online had been part of this preparation. The way you communicate. The consistency you develop. The restraint you practiced when tempted to react emotionally. These small decisions shape your digital character. They revealed patterns of thought and behavior. And patterns matter when heaven evaluates readiness. You may not have realized it, but every post, every interaction, every season of reflection was contributing to a larger picture. When the billionaire saw your profile in that vision, they were not just seeing surface content. They were seeing evidence of process. Evidence that you have walked through fire without becoming bitter. Evidence that you have endured without losing integrity. Hidden preparation also involved spiritual endurance. There were moments when you prayed and felt no immediate answer. When you asked for direction and received silence. When you hoped for breakthrough and instead faced another obstacle. In those moments, you had a choice: withdraw or persist. And even when your persistence felt weak, you continued. That consistency matters more than you realize. Heaven measures faithfulness in small things before releasing larger things. The billionaire's search for you is not random, and neither is your readiness. Your story contains layers of preparation you may not fully appreciate yet. Conversations you had years ago shaped your perspective. Mistakes you made forced you to grow wiser. Financial limitations taught you stewardship. All of it built capacity. Preparation often feels lonely. You build without knowing who will notice. You improve without knowing when it will matter. But the truth is, unseen growth creates visible strength. There is also a refining that happens in hidden seasons. Certain relationships fell away. Certain distractions were removed. You may have felt hurt or confused when people distanced themselves or when opportunities dissolved. But sometimes subtraction is preparation for multiplication. Some voices had to fade so that you would not be influenced by the wrong counsel when greater influence arrived. You were being stabilized. Because when wealth meets purpose, pressure follows. Visibility increases scrutiny. Excess increases responsibility. Without preparation, pressures overwhelm. But with preparation, they refine further. Look at how far you have come emotionally. Situations that once triggered anxiety now feel manageable. Decisions that once felt intimidating now feel navigable. That is growth. That is evidence of strengthening. Hidden preparation also built discernment in you. You have learned to read between the lines. You sense when something feels aligned or misaligned. The discernment will protect you when new connections form. Not every open door is divine. Not every opportunity is assignment. Preparation sharpened your ability to know the difference. You are not stepping into this moment as the same person you were years ago. You carry more awareness, more clarity, more restraint, more courage. And here is something powerful. Preparation does not end when opportunity begins. It continues, rather than going. But the foundation has been laid. The billionaire's vision was not an impulsive spotlight. It was recognition of readiness. Recognition of a process completed to a certain level. If you had skipped the hidden season, you would not be steady enough now. But because you endured it, because you allowed yourself to be shaped rather than hardened, you are positioned. You were not being delayed. You were being developed. And now that development is about to meet opportunity. Yet, as this alignment approaches visibility, you must remain alert. Because whenever preparation meets manifestation, distractions attempt to creep in. Doubt may whisper. Fear may question. Old insecurity may resurface. What you are about to uncover next will help you guard this moment carefully so that nothing sabotages what heaven has carefully prepared. As alignment draws closer, as preparation meets opportunity, as your name continues to echo in places you cannot see, there is something you must understand clearly. Destiny can be delayed not only by external opposition, but by internal reaction. This is the moment where many people unknowingly sabotage what heaven has carefully constructed. When something significant begins to unfold, fear often arrives quietly. Not loud panic, subtle hesitation, questions that sound reasonable. What if this isn't real? What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? These thoughts may appear harmless, but if left unchecked, they create resistance inside you. The billionaire had to overcome doubt to act on the vision. Now you must overcome doubt to receive what is forming. Self-sabotage does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. like overthinking, like minimizing your own worth. It looks like talking yourself out of possibilities before they even knock on your door. You must guard your thoughts in this season. When heaven initiates something, it often feels bigger than your comfort zone. That discomfort is not a sign to retreat. It is a sign that you are expanding. Growth stretches you before it stabilizes you. Do not interpret stretching as warning. It may be confirmation. Another subtle sabotage is comparison. As soon as you sense that something unusual is happening, you may look around and measure yourself against others. You may think, there are people more qualified. Your profile is more impressive. There are voices more polished. But comparison blinds you to the uniqueness of your assignment. The vision did not show someone else's name. It showed yours. Comparison is a distraction from obedience. There is also the temptation to alter yourself unnaturally, to suddenly perform, to become someone you think opportunity expects. Resist that urge. The very authenticity that carried you through hidden seasons is what positioned you for this moment. If you shift into performance, you distort the alignment. Stay grounded in who you are. Guard your digital presence as well, not in fear but in wisdom. Be intentional. Reflect before posing. Ask yourself if your words align with the direction you sense forming. This is not about perfection. It is about awareness. When destiny approaches, details matter. Another form of sabotage is sharing prematurely. There is wisdom in timing. Not every stirring needs immediate announcement. Not every possibility requires public broadcasting. Let developments mature quietly before they are exposed. Protect what is forming until it becomes solid. Fear of visibility can also sabotage you. You may have grown comfortable in quietness, comfortable without scrutiny, but expansion inevitably brings attention. Instead of resisting that, prepare for it. Strengthen your foundation so that attention does not destabilize you. Understand this. Distraction increases when destiny is near. You may notice unusual interruptions, unexpected emotional triggers, old insecurities resurfacing, even relational tension. These are not coincidences. Whenever progress accelerates, opposition attempts to create confusion. Stay centered. Do not react impulsively. Do not let temporary emotion dictate permanent decisions. The key in this season is steadiness. Respond instead of reacting. Reflect instead of rushing. Pray instead of panicking. Because what is forming is not fragile, but your response to it matters. You are being trusted with alignment, and trust requires maturity. If doubt whispers, answer it with remembrance of your preparation. If fear rises, confront it with clarity about your identity. If comparison tempts you, return to the uniqueness of your name in that vision. This is not the time to shrink. It is not the time to retreat into insecurity. It is the time to stand steady. And hear this carefully. The moment you begin to believe you are unworthy, you create internal resistance to receiving. Worthiness is not about flawlessness. It is about willingness. If heaven initiated this, heaven considered your readiness. Do not sabotage what you prayed for simply because it arrives in a form that stretches you. There is something else you need to hold on to right now. What comes next will clarify your role in this unfolding alignment in a way you did not expect. The next revelation will shift how you see your responsibility in this moment. You will be grateful you stayed for what is about to unfold. Before we continue, seal this in your spirit. Type "I will not sabotage my destiny" in the comments if this message speaks to you. Blessing code 528 is now activated over your focus, your clarity, and your discernment. Let that declaration anchor you. This warning is not just instruction. It is invitation. When you sow into a word that guards your destiny, you participate in the harvest it protects. If this message has strengthened your resolve, now is the moment to act. When you give through Super Thanks, step into membership, or release a seed through PayPal, you are not funding content. You are fueling a flame that carries light into hidden places. The Lord declares, "Those who build my house will dwell in security." I feel this strongly. I am asking you to respond as part of this divine alignment. Do not let hesitation steal obedience. As you give, may doors open with unusual favor, and may protection surround what God is building in your life. Activate your seed today and move in agreement with heaven. Now that you understand the weight of this moment, now that you recognize the preparation behind you and the warning before you, the question becomes clear. What must you do immediately? When heaven begins aligning resources with purpose, passive waiting is not the response. Intentional preparation is. First, you must center yourself spiritually. Before any external connection manifests visibly, your internal alignment must be secure. Spend time in stillness. Clear your thoughts. Pray with focus, not fear. Ask for discernment, not just opportunity. This is not about chasing wealth. It is about stewarding assignment. If your heart remains anchored, you will not be swayed by pressure or distracted by excitement. Second, refine your vision. If someone with influence were to ask you tomorrow, what are you building? What do you stand for? What impact do you want to create? Would you answer clearly? Or would you hesitate? Clarity attacks alignment. Uncertainty delays it. Take time to write down your purpose in simple, direct language. Define what matters to you. Define what you will not compromise. Define what success truly means in your life. When preparation meets opportunity, clarity becomes your compass. Third, evaluate your digital presence with wisdom. Not with anxiety, not with obsession, but with awareness. Your social media profile was shown and envisioned for a reason. It represents your voice and your consistency. Ask yourself, does my presence reflect maturity? Does it reflect integrity? Does it reflect direction? Small adjustments now can prevent misunderstandings later. Authenticity must remain, but refinement is strength, not weakness. Fourth, strengthen your discipline. When opportunity draws near, distractions multiply. Protect your time. Protect your focus. Limit influences that drain your energy. Increase habits that build your capacity. Read. Learn. Grow. If wealth aligns with your purpose, you must be able to handle complexity. Expand your knowledge quietly. Preparation in silence often determines performance and visibility. Fifth, guard your conversations. Not everyone needs access to what you sense unfolding. Share selectively. Seek counsel from those who value integrity over excitement. There is wisdom in quiet anticipation. When something is still forming, excessive exposure can create unnecessary interference. Let developments mature before they are announced. Sixth, examine your motives honestly. If this connection materializes, is your heart steady enough to handle it without pride? Are you ready to remain grounded if recognition increases? Are you prepared to serve, not just succeed? These questions are not accusations. They are anchors. Answering them strengthens your foundation. Seventh, practice gratitude now, not later. Gratitude stabilizes your spirit. It prevents entitlement. It keeps you humble. Instead of focusing on what might come, appreciate what already exists. Your journey has shaped you. Your preparation has strengthened you. Gratitude keeps your perspective aligned when doors begin to open. There is also something practical you must do immediately. Increase your responsiveness. Check messages wisely. Be attentive without being anxious. Stay reachable. Opportunity sometimes arrives quietly. It may not announce itself grammatically. It may appear as a simple inquiry, a subtle introduction, a conversation that feels ordinary at first. Do not ignore unusual nudges. And here's something important. Act in faith, not in desperation. Faith is steady. Desperation is impulsive. You are not chasing someone's wealth. You are aligning with God's orchestration. That mindset difference changes your posture entirely. Now let me speak directly to your engagement in this moment. If this word is resonating deeply, do not remain passive. Like this video as a declaration of readiness. Share it with someone who needs to understand that divine timing is real. Comment your agreement below, not for visibility, but for alignment. Subscribe if you are not already connected here, because the next revelations will build on what is unfolding now. Public agreement strengthens private conviction. Remember, engagement is not about attention. It is about activation. Finally, protect your peace. As anticipation grows, anxiety may try to enter. Resist it. Peace is a sign of alignment. If something feels forced, pause. If something feels manipulative, step back. Divine connections carry clarity, not confusion. Trust discernment. You are not being asked to force anything into existence. You are being asked to prepare your vessel. If the billionaire's search becomes contact, you must be ready to respond with composure, wisdom, and confidence. Not arrogance, not fear. Confidence rooted in preparation. Immediate actions you take now may seem small, but small adjustments create strong foundations. And foundations determine how high something can rise without collapsing. There is one more layer you must understand. This connection forming around your name is not only about you. It carries ripple effects beyond your personal life. The impact of this alignment could touch people you have never met. What you are about to discover next will reveal how your obedience in this moment influences others in ways you cannot yet see. It is easy to assume that this unfolding connection is about your personal breakthrough. It is natural to focus on how it may change your circumstances, your visibility, your opportunities. But if you look deeper, you will see that this moment carries weight far beyond you. When heaven orchestrates alignment between influence and identity, it is rarely for individual elevation alone. It is for ripple effect. Every significant shift in history began with a single point of alignment. One decision, one connection, one act of obedience, and the consequences extended outward, touching lives the original person never anticipated. That is how divine impact works. It multiplies. If a billionaire is searching for a person with your exact name, because God revealed your profile in a vision, then the purpose attached to you is not small. Resources of that magnitude are rarely released for isolated benefit. They are catalysts. They expand whatever they are connected to. Ask yourself this question honestly. If your capacity increased overnight, how many people could benefit from your obedience? Family members who have struggled quietly. Friends who have lost hope. Communities that need leadership. Causes that need support. Ideas that need funding. When wealth meets purpose, the first evidence is expansion of impact. This is why your preparation was so important. Ripple effects require stability at the center. If the core is unstable, the ripple distorts. But when the center is anchored, the expansion remains aligned. You may not realize how many people are already watching your journey. Some grow encouragement from your consistency. Others find courage in your transparency. Even your small victories inspire someone fighting unseen battles. Now imagine what could happen if your influence expanded with integrity. The billionaire's internal shift toward legacy is not accidental. Legacy thinking is generational thinking. It asks, what will remain after I am gone? If your name surfaced in that context, it suggests that your life carries generational significance. Generational impact does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like funding an idea that changes a neighborhood. Sometimes it looks like mentorship that alters a young person's direction. Sometimes it looks like creating opportunities where none existed before. But all of it begins with alignment. The ripple effect also protects you from pride. When you realize that what is happening is larger than personal gain, humility strengthens. You begin to see yourself not as the center of attention, but as a steward of opportunity. That mindset attracts further alignment because heaven entrusts those who understand stewardship. There is another dimension to this ripple: spiritual influence. When people witness divine orchestration, when they see that God can reveal a name in a vision and align it with resources, it challenges skepticism and awakens faith. Your story could become evidence for someone else that heaven still intervenes in modern times. That alone is powerful. But ripple effects also require responsibility. Increased influence amplifies both strengths and weaknesses. The way you handle opportunity will either inspire others or discourage them. That is why character remains essential even after doors open. Consider the conversations that could happen because of this alignment. Rooms where purpose is discussed instead of only profit. Strategies that prioritize impact over image. Investments that serve communities rather than only markets. Your presence in such spaces could shift tone and direction. And here is something profound. Sometimes the ripple effect begins before the connection becomes public. The very act of you preparing, refining, strengthening yourself now already influences your environment. People know subtle changes. They sense focus. They observe growth. Your immediate circle feels the shift before the world does. You must also understand that ripple effects often outlive the initial moment. Long after the first meeting, long after the initial alignment, the decisions made during that time continue shaping outcomes. That is why obedience now matters deeply. If fear had stopped the billionaire from pursuing the vision, the ripple would have been blocked. If doubt stops you from preparing and responding wisely, the ripple narrows. But if both sides move in faith, the expansion becomes unstoppable. Your name being revealed in that vision was not just about recognition. It was about responsibility. You carry potential that intersects with influence. That intersection can change trajectories, not only yours, but others. A ripple effect is already forming. Quietly, strategically, purposefully. And yet, there is still one more layer of confirmation you need. A sign that reassures you that this is not imagination. A sign that aligns your spirit with clarity. Because when ripple effects begin, heaven often provides one final reassurance before manifestation becomes visible. What you are about to hear next will help you recognize that confirmation when it appears. As this alignment continues forming behind the scenes, as preparation and ripple effects build momentum, there is something your spirit naturally longs for: confirmation. Not hype, not imagination, real confirmation. Because when something carries this level of significance, your heart wants assurance that it is truly unfolding and not just hopeful thinking. Heaven understands that. Throughout divine patterns in history, major shifts were often preceded by a confirming sign. Not always loud, not always dramatic, but specific enough to anchor faith. And in your case, there will be a signal, a final layer of reassurance that what began in a vision is moving toward manifestation. The first form of confirmation may come as unusual peace. This might surprise you. Many people expect confirmation to feel explosive. But often, when something is divinely aligned, it brings calm instead of chaos. You may notice a steady confidence settling inside you. Not arrogance, not overexcitement, just a quiet knowing, a sense that something is aligning beyond your control. That peace is not accidental. It is a stabilizer. Another sign may come through unexpected contact. It may not immediately appear dramatic. It could be a message, a subtle inquiry, a connection through unusual contacts. Something that feels ordinary on the surface but carries unusual weight. When it happens, pay attention to how it feels internally. Divine confirmation carries clarity, not confusion. It does not pressure. It invites. You may also notice an increase in spiritual sensitivity, dreams becoming more vivid, intuition sharpening, a stronger pull toward prayer or reflection. When destiny approaches, awareness heightens. It is as if your spirit begins preparing for transition before your circumstances fully reflect it. There could even be repetition, hearing your name mentioned in unrelated contexts more frequently, seeing themes of legacy, wealth, or purpose surface in conversations around you. These are not superstitions. They are patterns, and patterns matter. But here is the most important confirmation sign: alignment without force. If this connection unfolds in a way that feels natural, strategic, and steady, if doors open without manipulation, then you will know. When God orchestrates something, it does not require you to chase aggressively. It requires you to respond wisely. The difference is critical. You must resist the temptation to create your own sign. Do not test heaven by forcing situations. Do not send impulsive messages. Do not manufacture contact. The confirmation will come through alignment, not anxiety. And when it does, you will recognize it because it will match the preparation inside you. Think about that carefully. The reason preparation was necessary is because confirmation must meet readiness. If the sign appears before you are grounded, you might mishandle it. But now, after hidden seasons, after warnings, after clarity, you are more stable. Another layer of confirmation may appear through timing itself. Doors that once felt sealed suddenly become accessible. Delays lift. Conversations progress faster than expected. You may look back and realize that obstacles that once slowed you have quietly moved aside. Timing is one of heaven's clearest confirmations. Pay attention also to counsel. If wise voices around you affirm what you sense without you persuading them, that is meaningful. When independent confirmation aligns with internal conviction, clarity strengthens. There is something else to understand. Confirmation is not given to eliminate faith. It is given to strengthen it. You will still need courage. You will still need discernment. But reassurance will meet you at the right moment. And here is a subtle but powerful sign. Opposition losing intensity. Earlier, you may have faced unusual resistance, distractions, emotional turbulence, confusion. But as confirmation draws near, clarity increases. The noise quiets. Focus sharpens. That shift in atmosphere signals that alignment is stabilizing. When you experience this confirmation, do not react with panic. Do not rush. Do not over-explain. Receive it with steadiness. Continue preparing. Continue refining. Let the process unfold. Remember, the vision was specific. Your name, your profile. That level of precision suggests that confirmation will also be precise. You will not need to guess whether it is connected. You will recognize the thread. The final confirmation sign is not about spectacle. It is about certainty. And when it appears, something inside you will settle fully. Doubt will fade. Hesitation will weaken. You will sense that the search forming around your name is no longer theoretical. It is active. That moment is closer than you think. Now, as we move into the final declaration of this message, you must prepare your heart for closure and activation. Because when confirmation meets readiness, the next step is bold alignment. What you are about to step into is not just possibility. It is positioning. You have walked through every layer of this revelation. From the shocking announcement that a billionaire is searching for a person with your exact name, to the vision where God revealed your social media profile with unmistakable clarity. You have examined the preparation behind you, the warning before you, the ripple effect beyond you, and the confirmation ahead of you. Now we stand at the final threshold, the place where understanding must become alignment. This is no longer just information. It is activation. If heaven truly revealed your name in a vision, then your life is not small. It is not random. It is not drifting. You are positioned inside a divine orchestration that has been forming long before you became aware of it. While you were navigating ordinary days, something extraordinary was being arranged. Let this settle into your spirit. God does not misdirect. If your name was shown, it was intentional. If your profile was highlighted, it was precise. If a billionaire was stirred to search, it was purposeful. Heaven does not play games with identity. It does not experiment with destiny. When it speaks, it builds. There may still be moments where doubt tries to whisper. That is human. But doubt does not cancel divine instruction. It only tests your agreement with it. And today, you are being invited to agree. Agree that your preparation was not wasted. Agree that your hidden seasons were necessary. Agree that your name carries purpose. Agree that timing has shifted. You are not being asked to force anything. You are being asked to stand ready, to remain steady, to trust that what began in the unseen realm is moving toward visibility. Archangel Michael's presence in this message symbolizes protection and order. This is not chaos. It is alignment. Whatever connection forms will not bypass discernment. It will not override wisdom. It will unfold in clarity. Trust that. As you move forward from this moment, carry confidence without arrogance. Carry expectation without desperation. Carry faith without pressure. Let your posture reflect someone who knows they are seen by heaven. And remember, the billionaire searching is only one part of the story. The greater part is that God spoke your name. That is the real revelation. Before any human influence noticed you, heaven recognized you. Before any resource aligned with you, purpose was assigned to you. This connection is not elevating you from nothing. It is revealing what was already written. Now step into it mentally. See yourself responding wisely. See yourself handling opportunity with maturity. See yourself remaining grounded even if visibility increases. Visualize stability, not overwhelm. Because confidence grows when you rehearse steadiness, not fear. If contact comes, respond with clarity. If delay continues briefly, remain patient. If confirmation arrives suddenly, stay composed. This is your moment to embody readiness. And here is something powerful. Even if the full manifestation unfolds differently than you imagine, the truth remains. You are marked for purpose. This message is not dependent on one outcome. It is anchored in identity. And identity cannot be undone by circumstance. You are stepping into a new awareness now. An awareness that your life intersects with influence in ways you may not fully comprehend yet. That awareness alone changes how you walk. It changes how you speak. It changes how you think. Stand tall internally. Breathe deeply. Refuse to shrink back. Because this is not just about someone finding you. It is about you stepping fully into who you already are. Type "I step into my purpose" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 911 is now activated over your destiny, your alignment, and your divine connections. Let that declaration seal this message in your spirit. As you leave this moment, carry peace, carry expectation, carry discernment. The search forming around your name is not random. The timing is not accidental. The preparation was not wasted. You are seen. You are known. You are positioned. And what is meant for you will not miss you. Step into it now. This declaration is more than words. It is a mantle. When you sow into a prophetic moment, you water the ground where destiny grows. If this message has strengthened your faith, now is your time to act. Through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal seed from the link in the description or the QR code on your screen, you are not giving to a channel. You are fueling a movement that carries God's voice to waiting hearts. The Lord declares, "When you bring the offering, I will open the windows of heaven over you." I say this clearly. I am calling you to move in obedience right now. Do not delay what heaven is prompting. As you give, may acceleration meet your household, and may divine alignment overtake you. Release your seed and step into the flow of blessing today.